Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Oh my, I found these as church bulletin excerpts, and I thought I'd pass along a couple of my favorites this morning. A bean supper will be held on Tuesday evening in the church hall. Music will follow. Here's my absolute favorite. At the evening service tonight, the sermon topic will be, What is Hell? Come early and listen to our choir practice. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday. Good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith. God bless America. Boy, we need it more now than ever. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hello there, buddy. Go ahead with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, my friend. I know you're going to call back in a little bit. I got some great stories for you to talk about. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Okay, God bless.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Time now for the weather. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, number to remember, 678-3122. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 5:30, Saturday, 7 to 6. Got all the equipment you need right there. All the tools, all the forklifts, all the way to lawnmowers. They've got everything, and they've been in business since 1979. Right now, is it live or is it Memorex? Here's Gina.
Well, unfortunately for you, it's probably live, so there's no music.
Oh, I'll just hum. I'll hum. Dum-dum-de-dum-dum.
Okay, so weather for today, we are in still that air quality alert due to all the smoke in the area. Going to be partly cloudy for this morning, but as we move through the afternoon, winds are going to be picking up. We are expecting some isolated rain showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Gusts possible of 20-plus, high of 85 for today. Tonight, a few more rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast with a low of 56. Tomorrow, areas of smoke, so that air quality advisory is still going to remain in effect with a high of 86, overnight low of 57. Pretty much the same for Friday as we get ready for the weekend. Right now, we're sitting at 59.
Hey, by the way, that wind last night, did you get that high wind over there by the station?
I don't know. I do know that we had about a 5-second power bump last night.
See, now, we had a power outage for about 3 hours last night.
Oh, really? See, we only got hit for like 5 seconds.
No, and my tarps on my hay are not existent anymore. They've gone to that great tarp in the heavens. And I tell you what, the cost of those doggone tarps, now I got to go get some new ones today. So they're all shredded. They look like those little streamers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Hey, by the way, thank you for filling in again for Wheels. Any update?
No update as of yet today. He's supposed to go to the doctor. If the swelling goes down, then he will probably be back to work on Monday, but I'm just going to wait. And hear from him, and as soon as I hear, I'll pass along the good word.
And for those in the audience, send cards to the station for our itty-bitty buddy, and that's Wheels over at K-Bar. I want to wish him the very best. Gina, God bless you for filling in. Thanks.
Amen.
And all of that with our weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, 678-3122. Roger and the whole crew taking care of you, and they're a Honda engine dealer, too. Don't forget they got all the parts you might need for your wheel lines. Holy buckets, I got to be quiet and pay some more bills here real quick. Want to remind you, let's turn the page. Tomorrow's Burley Livestock Sale. We got to cover that. But right now I want to tell everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. They're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. Literally all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and they've got all your air conditioning filters. Keep cool, keep a clean filter in that machine. You're going to really appreciate the real net result of sitting back and going, oh, it feels good. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And real quick, are you hungry? I am. I'll tell you what, I am starving this morning. We had a late night last night with a lot of dear friends and family over here, roped, and had pizza afterwards and everything. God bless Deanne for everything. But boy, this morning I am hungry, and I would love to go to Denny's restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley or 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Breakfast anytime, all the time. You got to try the strawberry cream pancakes. Oh, yeah. Sit them in front of you, stare for a moment, and then dig into one of the best breakfasts you've ever had. At Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. It is America's Diner and the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Great folks over there. A music legend died yesterday, and he will be sorely missed. Great songwriter, absolutely a great guitar player, and quite frankly, a pretty doggone good singer. Glenn Campbell died at 81 years of age yesterday, Alzheimer's and other complications. And, of course, when you think back at his illustrious career, songs like The Wichita Lineman and Rhinestone Cowboy and Gentle on My Mind, all of those come to mind in remembrance of Glenn Campbell. And as I said, a man in the entertainment business that will be sorely missed. Glenn Campbell dead at 81 years of age. One of the hot topics this morning that we're going to have a subject covered later on this morning with Dr. Herb London is North Korea. We're getting all kinds of threats from Kim Jong-un, and it looks like the big question is, what are we going to do, and how are we going to do it, and quite frankly, when? If it's not already too late. North Korea is doing all they can. If you're not following the news, you should be. Since I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, it's been the hot button item. They are doing all they can to promote a war with the United States. The threats, the missile tests, and the warnings. What they are going to do and where they want to strike. Very obvious. But my question is to you, if you were sitting in the Oval Office, you had the briefcase with the red buttons, what would you do? What action would you take? Now, there were a lot of people yesterday on the left that were offended by the statements of President Trump when he said, if they want to keep pushing the envelope like this, we will return our vengeance with fire and fury. And for some reason, the left, the liberals, the Democrats are just standing there, railing and railing about what kind of contempt Donald Trump has for civilized society. Baloney. If you'll think back to the Reagan administration with Gaddafi and others of that ilk, he called them animals. He said that they needed to be eradicated. The language is no different today. As a matter of fact, I think Trump has watered it down somewhat. Let's take a call, and I'll continue on about North Korea. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
Maybe the problem would be the minute they launch a missile and it leaves the borders of North Korea, we should have the right to have our submarines out there that have missiles aboard them. And I'm sure we've got the technology to destroy these missiles before they come up to speed.
Tony, if anything happens like this, and when you start talking the words nuclear war, you're talking about an Armageddon that could be the erasing of mankind and the world as we know it. And you have to be very, very careful about the verbiage. But I will say this, and I want you to respond. If something happens to where the North Korean leadership, if you want to call it that, decides that they want to push buttons and start a nuclear holocaust, we and other allied nations have to respond with such a force that, quite frankly, North Korea is obliterated from the face of the earth.
Well, that's an act of war. When somebody attacks your country, we have no alternative.
But you will agree with me. Yeah, but Tony...
We've got a big air base on Guam. I was stationed there for a while. We got one in Japan. We got one in South Korea. And I can bet you right now, every one of those bombers and fighters that we've got are already prepared to go.
Well, and as a matter of fact, now that you brought up Guam, that was one of the principal points of interest that was brought up by the North Korean government, that they were going to aim some of their missiles at. And so there's been a concentrated effort over the last 48 hours to bring more, let's say, strategic weapons into Guam for its protection. But this thing has escalated to the point, Tony, where you've been around a little bit longer than I have. What are your thoughts? I mean, are we at a point of no return, or will sanctions, negotiations possibly put the genie back in the bottle?
I don't think there's any negotiation with this little porky we've got over there in North Korea. He's as bad as Adolf Hitler. There's no communicating with him. He wants to be the master of the world. He wants to bring the United States down to show the entire world that he has control over the greatest nation in this country, in the world.
Yeah.
And if we don't step in there and put a stop to this guy, there will be a nuclear holocaust.
I have a tendency to agree with everything you said, but I got to admit that all through my life of going through the Cuban Missile Crisis and, of course, Vietnam and everything else, I am very hesitant to wish war upon any country or any part of our civilization. And right now, with this pugnacious little dictator over there that wants to start nuclear holocaust, all I want to do, honestly, is if he pushes the button, I hope that we are meeting him with such force that the newscasts will show that North Korea no longer exists.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. This little pig up there is leaving the rest of the world no choice. And China or anybody else isn't going to... This guy is out of control. He doesn't care about China or anybody else. He just wants to be the big enchilada in the world.
Well, we're going to talk to Dr.
brag and say I brought the United States to its knees.
Yeah, which I don't think is ever going to be feasible with this kind of third-rate, third-world status. But God help us, I hope it never comes to that. Tony, you and Mary, you please have a great day, and thank you for getting out of bed and giving me a call. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Cache County Fair and Rodeo is going to take place next week. I'm telling you what, it is going to be a ripping good fair. Starting on this Saturday with the Aaron Watson and Ned Ledoux concert. And I tell you, I know both of these cowboys, and they can sing, they can croon, and they're great entertainers. Don't miss it. Get your tickets for that concert now. Don't forget, they're going to have PRCA Rodeo, Parimutuel Horse Racing. They're going to have a hypnotist. They're going to have all kinds of fun at the great big Cache County Fair and Rodeo. August 12th through the 19th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Don't you miss it. Great, great fun over there. By the way, too, I want to say thank you to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I absolutely am astounded through the great works of their physical therapists and the good Lord above, yours truly coming back a lot faster than I thought I would after last summer's operations. And Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation gets a lot of the credit. With that hydrotherapy pool, like I said, great physical therapists. All the exercises, they put me through the grinder, and I'm much better for it. You be sure and check it out. Give them a call at 678-1191, 678-1191, where they can help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Really, really good folks. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What would you do? Honestly, we've got to kind of look at this thing as a flyover observer of the problem. The Democrats absolutely, oh, no, we can't do anything. Why? We can't support Donald Trump. They won't do anything to support this administration. I have never seen in my life, which now in about a month and a half is going to go into a number that scares me a little bit, but I've never in my life seen a more hateful, spiteful party than what the Democrats are right now. They're not working for America. They're not working for the betterment of you and me, our relatives, our kids. All they're working for right now is spite and negativity against this administration. And they're not the only ones. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, about how the Republicans aren't much better. I'm an equal opportunity offender, and I'm going to throw the ball at the Democrats and the Republicans in just a little bit. Caller, would you just wait a second? I'll be right with you, I promise. I want to remind everybody about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert, and they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Minicash area. And believe me, they really provide one-on-one care for your loved ones that need that little extra help. That's right. They've got a beautiful patio, and they have outdoor barbecues and a lot of community functions right there. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, 436-3200. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, did you see that interview with Donald Trump in 1999?
Well, which one?
Korea.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do, and it brings back a lot of memories of that conversation.
Yes. Oh, shoot.
What happened?
I'm getting a call.
Hey, call me right back, though, if you can, Doug. I want to pursue that point a little further. A businessman trying to run a business and then also be a part of a talk show on a radio program, and the phones sometimes interrupt our chain of thought. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One story quickly, well, I want to stay with this North Korea situation a little bit because absolutely it's very, very serious. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We're kind of in limbo. If you didn't hear what Trump had said exactly, I know that a lot of the Democrats and the liberals are criticizing it, but here I'm going to read exactly the words of our President Donald Trump. North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with the fire and fury like the world has never seen. He, meaning Kim Jong-un, has been very threatening beyond a normal state. And as I said, they will be met with fire and fury, and frankly, power the likes of which this world has never seen before. Those are the words of Donald Trump. And quite frankly, I'm very supportive of those words. It sounds to me like we've got some leadership that is not going to take all the mosquito stings and bites from all these little countries, these little third world rate dictators, and enough is enough. Yes, there is the opportunity for a holocaust of a nuclear war. But what do you do? Do you subvert yourself into submission and let the world be taken over by people that are so inhumane and so non-civilized that the world could never again regain its composure? Or do you put your foot down and squash them like a bug? That's where we're at this morning. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to have a personal note here for some people that are traveling back up to Oregon. And they are some of our dearest friends. God blessed us with some really great folks as friends. The Smith family, Larry and Sue Ellen, and the grandkids and everything. And old John's listening, I know he is. And the gals in the back seat, they're just traveling back home. They were wonderful to have here as guests. Larry and Sue Ellen, of course, were inducted about 9-10 days ago in the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main in Burley. They invite you to the Cassia County Fair. I'll tell you what, Pickett Equipment Company, since its birth of the company in 1970, the best doggone bean equipment in the world, and they ship all over the world. Excellent folks. Pickett Equipment Company. Steve and the crew wishing you to come to the Cassia County Fair, along with the Goodie Shop at 133 East Main in Burley. Oh, when I say Goodie Shop, I'm talking major goodies here. All the delicious cookies, brownies, sandwiches, everything with Shelley and the gals at the Goodie Shop. Call them today, 647-0106. Didn't get a chance to write it down? 647-0106, the Goodie Shop in Burley. Along with Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, Tim and the crew, they can build anything. Agricultural, industrial, and commodity steel buildings, they are the pros. So please get a hold of them today at 431-7314 or 678-9204. Yep, Streamline Precision, inviting you to the Cassia County Fair. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I'm back.
Well, like a bad cold.
Yeah, something about this. This should have been handled 20 years ago.
It wasn't.
And I blame this on Bush and Clinton and Obama.
Yeah.
And, well, it was about a year and a half ago, or a year ago anyway, they were knowing that they had a nuclear bomb, and Obama kept it hushed because he didn't want any of that to come out on his watch.
Yeah.
So now, once you let something fester and grow, then you're going to have to deal with it.
Let me ask you this, Doug. And you're a Christian man, and you live by some strong Christian principles. I try to. But I absolutely am convinced that in a situation like this, I'm almost solid in my opinion that we need a preemptive strike. Unfortunately, many people are going to die needlessly, and they have done nothing wrong. But we need to have a preemptive strike, because I think the longer, to use some of your terminology, that this wound festers, the more dangerous for the world situation it becomes.
That's a fact. The longer you let a bully get away with bullying you, the worse it's going to get. And Kim Jong-un's not a bully, but he's out there rattling those sabers to extort consensus out of people or money out of people to get his way. He needs things from the world, and he's not big enough to take them himself, so he does this, so they will give him stuff, so he will stop doing that.
They have the lowest GNP for exports, I think, of any second or third world nation status. They have nothing because this dictatorship has taken away from the people and literally starved his people to death to give everything to the military and a so-called military buildup. I would like to see, and I don't care who's offended by this, I would like to see a total national insurrection where the people pick up their garden hose and their shovels and everything else and just absolutely topple this nation's dictatorship from within.
That would be the perfect scenario right there.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect scenario. But I don't think that's going to happen. And my feeling is this next rocket he sends in the air, I would blow it out of the air.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because just this morning early, and boy, did I have a hard time opening my eyes this morning after a late night last night. But just this morning early, I was reading a bunch of things that were written by various experts. And quite frankly, that's what we should do. We should have the positioning and the capabilities, which I know we do, that anything that sits on the launch pad from now on stays on the launch pad.
If it leaves the ground, it gets blown up.
Absolutely.
And just do that. I know the world's going to, oh, you're striking against them. Nope, we told them do no more launches.
Yeah, but
and tell him that. Tell Kim Jong-un the next rocket you put in the air is going to be blown up as soon as it leaves the ground.
But where do you find the liberals, and where do you find this appeasement sect of people? Where do you find them when all of a sudden they're taken over by a dictatorship and they're given rice to eat maybe once a day and whips to their back, just like any country that takes over its people? What are they going to think then? Right now is the golden opportunity for this country, as the beacon of hope for the free world, to put these countries in their place with awe and respect. And if somebody has to go down, I'm going to come right out and say it, so be it.
Well, I pray for the people of Korea, the citizens, because they are really, held back and used as pawns for this little fat man to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And, it's sad. But in war, there was war in the Bible times.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
And, and innocent people did pass. And the Lord will take care of us.
It's all part of God's plan, Doug. You know that as well as I do. And I just think that if we let evil promote itself as a growing cancer, we are as guilty as the people that are promoting the evil.
Exactly, and for evil to succeed is for good to do nothing.
Appreciate it, Doug. God bless you for your call.
Hey, and everybody, let's take care of our senior centers.
Absolutely.
Do what we can to help them, donate. All right.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a good day. Appreciate you. Got to go back up here and pay some more bills right now. It's Sophie's Chatterbox. Now, I just want to brag a little bit about them. And what a great place to go eat in their wonderful restaurant. And you know that they've got a great bakery over there. My goodness, every Monday at 8:30, I give away a dozen cookies if you can answer the trivia question. And, cookies, pies, all the desserts, everything at Sophie's Chatterbox on the square, 530 East Street in Rupert. It is good eating. You're going to love it. Also want to quickly remind you, what else have I got on my list here? Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. We got rodeos. We've got county fairs coming out of our ears. And the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, the big PRCA rodeo, started last night. They had their first performance. Tonight they've got a salute to 4-H and FFA during the performance. And tomorrow night at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, Tough Enough to Wear Pink Night. I mean, they're having all kinds of fun. And for the rest of the week, over at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, don't forget on Friday night, they're going to have at 7:30 in the Depew Arena, bloodless bullfights. Saturday night, a great big boom, boom, boom tractor pull. So don't miss any of it at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo in Jerome. All right, holler at me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was talking about the Republicans a little bit ago. And later on this morning, I am going to have one of my dearest friends, former Representative Bert Stevenson, on the air. And we're going to be talking about water issues and also the issues of politics with the Republican Party. We hired them. We hired them to clean up the mess in politics. And in many respects, I'm going to come right out and say I think they've exacerbated the problem. Mitch McConnell did something yesterday that When I watched it on the news, I came so close to taking off one of my Justin boots and hurling it at my 60-inch TV screen. That would have been dumb. But he came out and said about Donald Trump that Trump came into the presidency with, now listen to these two words, excessive expectations. We're going to talk about that more in just a moment. Right now, here's our caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. You have scratched two of my itches already this morning, so I'm going to address the first one, even though you've just changed the subject a little bit. The only thing that Kim Jong-un recognizes is power.
Yep.
And the United States is the only one that has it, and we're the only ones that can do it.
Absolutely.
And if we don't do it now, there's going to be a third world war.
How long do we wait? What do we have to take more of? And what about our allies? You know, I absolutely think that, like it was said earlier, Chris, you got to punch a bully in the nose. There's a lot of the Dr. Spockish types today that go, oh, well, no, that's violence. We can't have that. Listen, this guy's a bully, and he needs to be put down on his back in a horizontal position permanently.
Well, the saddest thing about all of this is the rest of us are in danger, but look what he is doing to his own people.
Yeah.
He'd rather starve them to death than give up his little toys.
You know, and
he is so insane. He needs to be taken out.
I agree. You know, I said earlier...
And I think that the United States is the only country that has the will to do it. And I am very glad that President Trump is in charge right now.
I am too. You know, the only thing I said earlier, and I want to get your comment on this, I said a governing body that is very suppressive and wants to take people over and enslave them and basically give them a cup of rice on a daily basis and flog them and beat them to do what they need done for their government. That's exactly what's happening in North Korea.
Well, and you can tell who's getting the good food. That little punk. And he just lives in a life of luxury, and they are just forced to take care of him. I think there will be mayhem in the streets if we could take him out. Those people will feel so free, they'll probably die celebrating.
I agree.
He has to be, he's the devil incarnate.
I agree. Now, you said you had 2 points of interest this morning. What was the second point?
I've forgotten because he just makes my ire.
You know, why is it that people like you and people like me, and so far everybody in my audience that's called in this morning, we're called the warmongers, we're called the haters, we're called the insensitives. Listen, I'm just looking at common sense here and world history. If you let these pugnacious troublemakers rule and keep ruling and growing, the world will never be safe again.
My father survived the Second World War, and he said the only way that America can keep things in shape is if we have a strong military. And he said that is the one thing that America has got to do because nobody else in the world is going to do it.
Amen. Chris, I always appreciate your phone call. I always appreciate your point of view. And for once, the clock didn't go off while you called.
No, nothing did. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was talking a moment ago about Mitch McConnell and the stupidity of the Republican Party. I want you to comment on that. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call that I'm sure is being dialed right now, I'll tell you about Berry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They do have all the equipment you need to get the job done right. They've got all the Bobcat excavators. And I'm going to be going over there and getting one. I talked to Juan. I know a lot of you are saying, Zev on a Bobcat, lookout neighborhood. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to learn how to run it in that great big sandbox they've got out behind the business. You betcha, buddy. They've got all the shapes and sizes of the Bobcat excavators. And, oh, by the way, there's still a lot of lawn mowing time left this year. You want to check on those Walker mowers, 0% interest for 48 months. Yeah, buddy. Barry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Yep, Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb, I saw that McConnell thing yesterday, and it sounded just like Barack Obama. Sit back and do nothing.
Tony, of all the years, and I said you're a senior to me, but you've seen a lot of politicians, you've seen a lot of different administrations, etc. But I think Mitch McConnell should be absolutely turned out to pasture today. I cannot stand the man. I cannot stand the way the Republicans are taking this for granted. Another great opportunity to try to govern, a great opportunity to lead and get us out of a lot of problems, and they're not doing their job.
Well, Ryan's got to go, too. The problem is there's too many enemies in the Republican Party that are against him. Here we got a guy that's doing something for the country. Barack Obama spent 8 years doing nothing, and Donald Trump is finally turning out to be the biggest enemy of the country, according to McConnell.
Yeah. You know, Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, but I can tell you right now, and I think you'll agree with me, that the drain's clogged up. There's too doggone much to drain.
Well, I think Trump has got to put a few alligators in that swamp and clean that thing up.
I could not agree more. I am absolutely fed up with the Ryans and the McConnells and many others that absolutely are not Republicans. They're Republicans in name only, rhinos, and I'm fed up with this do-nothing attitude. And I don't care if they call my program. I don't care if they're incensed against me. I'm going to tell them to their face if I get the chance.
Well, our country's going to go down if this thing continues.
I agree with you, Tony. I don't want to be negative, but we've got to make some changes. God bless you, my dear friend. Take care.
Okay.
All right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, if you are running out of things to worry about, there was another horrendous use of a car jihadist in Paris yesterday. It seems, and we're still getting a lot of the facts and figures on this, but it seems like some Muslim jihadi was sitting in a BMW outside of an army barrack where they were changing their guards, the soldiers were changing the shifts, etc., and he waited. He waited in Paris in this car. And when 6 soldiers came out and were going to take over their positions on their shift change, he gunned the engine, floored it, and ran into all 6. And then, like the cowards that they are, jumped out of the car and ran away. It's just despicable what's going on in this world. You think we don't need a cleansing? There's not a broom and a dustpan big enough. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. It's been difficult getting through to you. This is my 10th time. Finally made it. So, anyway, the whole bottom line is that MacArthur was not allowed to win that war thanks to the United Nations. And he wanted to take out those bridges over the Gallo River. I have an uncle that's 88, served over there, and that war, they called it a conflict because it was never declared war. And it's the biggest danger we really have to this country is the United Nations, because we're going to fight that war under their auspices. And this is the real danger we have, is that we'll be able to do some things, but, you know, we can do the sanctions thing through the UN. But the UN's been our enemy from day one. And when MacArthur was brought home, he had the plan to win over there. And my uncle said, you know, then the casualties, we had over 50,000 casualties over there, plus I don't know how many more wounded. And it was just sad that we did not finish the job, just like we did in Vietnam, because the United Nations wouldn't let us.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in and say something with you, Adrian. Hold on just a minute. Listen to me, please. You're making good points, but don't ramble on so I can't get a word in here. To be shackled by the United Nations in an effort to get rid of a world security threat, I think would absolutely, like you, be wrong. The United States has to act on its own entity and not act under the auspices of the United Nations at any time. Too many people's lives, too many situations are going to be devastated if we act under the United Nations. I agree with you, and I hope the Trump administration just basically tells the United Nations, sit down, shut up, and leave us alone.
Well, that's a problem, and now it's out of a control situation because now they've got nuclear weapons and the ability to. So before we could have taken them out many times before, but of course that was never the objective. And when push comes to shove, China certainly will not. They'll support North Korea. They sent thousands of troops, and the machine gun nest just had to keep going higher and higher. There were just waves of those Chinese coming at our Americans.
Yeah.
Of course, we suffered tremendous casualties, and then while we ended up with this demilitarized zone and really no win at all.
I agree. Adrian, I've got a weather forecast, but your points are well taken, and I totally agree with you. The United Nations, a big, frivolous waste of time we need to get out of. I got to run.
Getting out of the UN by passing H.R. 193. Get hold of all our politicians and push forward on that.
I appreciate it.
Get out of the UN.
Thanks, Adrian. God bless, man. Thanks. Hey, I got to get a weather forecast on here, and it's brought to you by the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, with Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness. I went over for a hearing screening and found out I had problems with my right ear, and we took care of it. And, boy, I can hear again. And it's a true hearing health care that should include tools and techniques that enhance communication for you and your loved ones, and all of that there at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. The number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. And right now, live from Memorex, here's Gina.
We are still on that air quality alert for today, and honestly, that's probably going to last through Friday. Maybe on Saturday we'll get a reprieve from the smoke. But today, that's not going to happen. We are looking at also some isolated rain showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Gusts of wind up to 20-25 miles an hour. High of 85 tonight. More rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast. Still going to be smoky with a high of 56. And then for Thursday and Friday, pretty much the same. Right now we're sitting at 61.
Let me ask you, what are the percentages, honestly, of getting some rain, of which I hope we do get a little?
Let's see here. They're saying about 30%.
Really?
Yeah.
If it was only like 5%, get the umbrella.
Right.
Okay.
It says about 30% for a chance of rain showers this evening.
All right.
Probably light rain.
When are you ever going to stop over like you promised, like, what was it, 10 years ago, to stop and visit with us in the evening? And we had a group over here last night, my dear, that absolutely was fantastic. I had my family here. I had good friends.
I would have stopped by because I was in Jerome because we had to do the Jerome County Fair Parade.
Oh, my goodness. We had soft drinks. We had iced tea, and there was an occasional adult beverage consumed.
Ooh.
Oh.
And food and pizza.
Did I pique your interest?
You did, young man. Next time you have said soiree, you need to shoot me a phone call or a text.
Now, I have never, being a cowboy, ever called a gathering that I have a soiree. I have a feeling that if I said to some of my team roping buddies we're going to have a soiree over here, they would probably walk away in a much faster motion than they came towards me.
Probably so.
Uh-huh. You know what? I forgot to tell everybody who the weather was brought. I got to finish up here.
By Mount Harrison Audiology and the lovely lady called Dr. Christine Pickup. Check her out online at mountharrisonaudiology.com, located in the medical buildings just behind Minidoka Memorial Hospital, and don't forget to give her a call.
What are you trying to do? Steal my thunder, lady? That's my storm.
Just trying to stay save you, bud.
I appreciate it. Dr. Pickup, thank you. God bless you. And for all your hearing needs, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. There you go. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Blessed with Gina Jameson over at the station. God bless her. I really do thank her much for everything that she does. There was a guy in Tallahassee, Florida, a retired United States Navy commander. He's not just a common citizen like the rest of us. He was a big dude in the Navy. And he moved into the Southwood Residential Community Association. Oh, good. And for 4 years, he had a mailbox that was red, white, and blue, USA. The man's proud. All of a sudden, a complaint came in to the Southwood Residential Community Association, and they were told that this guy better take down his mailbox or repaint it in a color that is more for the aesthetic appeal and property values of the neighborhood. Well, this gentleman, John Eckert, said, I don't think so. My mailbox, celebrating the colors of our great country's flag, red, white, and blue, are going to stay right there. And when push came to shove, good old John said, I spent 30 years in uniform, and nobody is going to tell me to take down my flag or my mailbox. And it looks like the Southwood Residential Community Association, when they ran up against John Eckert, put their tail between their legs and they ran away and they said, oh, okay, John, I guess maybe you can keep your mailbox. That's what more people need to do. When somebody says, take down that flag, when somebody says, don't say God bless you, when somebody says, how dare you have a prayer before a game or after a prayer, we need to just look them in the eye and say, bring it on. Bring it on. Most of these people are cowards, and they're like bullies, and they have to be chased away. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you folks hear about this movement of idiocy over in Denmark? There's a group of people that are saying, well, you know what? We think that if we go hug a Muslim jihadi before they commit a terrorist act, we can change their ways by showing them love and warmth. Mull that over for a little bit.
Can I have whatever cookies they're eating?
You know, you don't think they've got something laced with a smoking material, do you?
You know, it's entirely possible. And this is over in Sweden, right?
It's in the area. There's some in Denmark, some in Sweden, and in that area there are groups that are saying, well, if we love these jihadis and hug them and show our love for them, maybe they'll start their stop their radical ways and they'll de-radicalize.
And I'd like to go to the coffee shop that they're visiting because that's not going to happen.
Gina, the world is insane thinking that you can cure cancer by stroking it and being nice to it.
No, you can't. And with these, it's ingrained in them. You can hug them all you want. They're still going to kill you.
You know, I don't want to sound like I'm being unsympathetic to what happened in San Bernardino, California a couple of years ago. But think about this. Here are the husband and wife, and they're shooting and killing people in the name of Allah Akbar. Would somebody stand up at the table and say, oh, let me give you a hug?
No, I don't think that would work.
The point is, we're at a point in the world's time where cancer is in the name of jihadis. Cancer is in the name of revolution. Cancer is in the name of people that are trying to do ill will to other civilized societies. And those cancers have to be cut out and eradicated.
Cancer is political correctness who won't allow us to stand up and just quash it at the get-go.
I run for president. You will be my Secretary of Defense.
Perfect.
There ain't nobody in their right mind that's going to cross this woman. I'm telling you.
Ask Scotty. He'll tell you. He's great.
I got to pay some bills.
Okay.
Hey, don't forget our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Oh, they say get where you're going this summer, then turn around and come safely home. Absolutely, with all the tires they've got, all the different tread design, all the sizes, cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers. Oh, my, they got you covered. And, of course, don't forget the very best in brake service. They know brakes, let me tell you. Highly trained technicians. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, the whole shooting match right there. But above all, the best in service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm going to take a little break for about 7 minutes and rest the old tonsils, maybe close my eye until Gina screams at me again. And we'll be back with Dave Bigo at 9:06 and then Michael Doherty at 9:30. Don't miss it. Zeb at the Ranch, I'll be right back. Wake up, Zeb. Okay. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Boy, I tell you what, if you have not got on the route service to have your garbage picked up every week, it's gone. It's out of there. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what, call them today and say, hey, I'm new to the area. I need to get on the route service, or maybe you've been here for a long time and you just need that garbage picked up. You don't want to mess with it anymore. They can and will help. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them this morning, 734-6969. By the way, too, I know some folks that are there to serve you for your animals. That's right. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Number to put on the refrigerator or write it in black ink on the dash of your pickup, 678-1177. 678-1177. Voted Minnecache's best veterinary hospital for multiple years. Dr. Bill and the crew, they're saying, hey, we're a mixed animal practice, big or small. We love them all. So get a hold of them today. Ark Animal Hospital, they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. And don't forget to, I don't have time to get that one in, so I think I'm going to jump ahead a little bit before I get Dave Bigo on the air. Our dear friend, Joel Heward. You know, Joel does so much for the community, as does his family and staff, over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. And they live there. They've got very flexible hours, so they're there when you need them. And when there's the passing of a loved one, the time is irrelevant. They're there to serve you. So please remember upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Give them a call. Remember the number today. Hanson Mortuary. Well, let's get on back to Indianapolis, Indiana. And what was the name of that song? I'm trying to think. On the banks of the Wabash, is that right? Where is the Wabash from you?
Are you talking to me now, Zeb?
I am. I'm asking questions about your knowledge of geography. Dave Bego, my dear friend, when they have that song about Indiana and on the banks of the Wabash, where is the Wabash?
Well, the Wabash is up kind of northwest of Indianapolis. It comes down from the north and around Crawfordsville and that, because, I went to Wabash College, and I've been, when I was in college, as part of your being inducted into a fraternity, I was taken down by the older members of fraternity and thrown into it.
So you've literally bathed yourself and have been baptized in the Wabash that we hear in the song.
That's right.
How big a river is it?
Oh, it's not a real big river. It's kind of a small river. But, it depends on how you define rivers. I've been out in the west, in Nebraska and that, and the thing they call a river out there, we call a creek here.
Okay, Mr. Bego, how are you this week? Are you as upset about what's going on in the world events as I am?
It's crazy what's going on, yeah. And I've got a tough week going on anyway. Today's my dad's 88th birthday, and he's been in the hospital the last several days, and he's not doing real well, and I'm very concerned, Zeb. Very concerned.
Well, you should be, but would you do me a favor? He does not know me. He's probably never heard of me, but would you tell him that Zeb and Deanne extend to him the best of well wishes and prayers? I
will do that. I'm planning on he's in the hospital right now, and I'm planning on being up there later this afternoon. I've got another thing going today. You remember I told you today that we had the Deputy Chief of Police for investigations passed away last week. And
yes.
We went to his funeral, and we stood in line for 4 hours to see him and pay our respects and that. And today, the East Side Police Department's going to have a meeting and a tribute to him, so I'm going to be going to that here in a little bit, too. So,
all right. Well, Dave,
it's an interesting day.
I appreciate your taking the time to come on the program this morning, and one of the topics I wanted to mention is what we talked about primarily in the first hour, and that's North Korea. I know you're a Christian. I know you're a great businessman and author, so give me your thoughts about letting this cancer grow, Kim Jong-un and Korea. It has to be stopped. He has to be stopped, and it looks like Donald Trump right in the middle of it with his speech last night about fire and fury. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think he's right. I think he comes across again, especially when he starts his tweeting in ways that, get other people all upset. But, I think we have to stop North Korea, whatever it takes. And, I was listening on the radio driving in this morning to, they had a guy on that was a commander in the armed forces and that, and he's been in that for a long time, and he believes that we can no longer put up with these things like we've put up with, the ISIS and everything else, and Iran, and let them continue to grow. It's time to put our foot down, and we need to do it in North Korea now, because people don't understand anymore how bad nuclear weapons are.
Dave, you said that his tweets and part of his speech were a little upsetting, but let me remind you that when Ronald Reagan was in office, there were a lot of comments and derogatory statements against Gaddafi and others, calling them animals for the way they treated the world and their people. I thought that the rhetoric from Donald Trump saying that we will unleash fire and fury was absolutely more sedated, if you will, in comments, and I think the left is wrong in criticism.
No, I agree with that point of I just go back to his tweeting. I wish he would get away from that and make his comments, and he's become more professional. I think his comments last night were good, and I think he's got to back it up now, because we can't let this guy move ahead and think that they're going to intimidate us as a country from not doing anything. And we got to put a stop to it. I
think, and I'll say this to you, and I want to get your response. We cannot wait to be retaliatory. We can't wait for retaliation. We have to be preemptive. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think so too. I think they have to develop a plan, and they got to execute it, and they've got to bring down North Korea and stop it, and they need to do it now.
What were your thoughts about the Republican Party? And boy, I tell you what, I've been really chasing them like a dog after a car here after some of the stupid statements by Mitch McConnell coming out yesterday and saying that President Trump has, quote, excessive expectations about Washington and how it works. That infuriated me. The Republicans are knuckle draggers and they haven't done a doggone thing. What are your thoughts?
Well, absolutely, Zeb. I mean, you know, we've talked about this before, that the problem with Washington is that everybody wants to stay there and live their lifestyle, and they don't want to do anything that could cause them to lose their office, you know, lose votes and all that kind of stuff. And so they try and throw out rhetoric there that'll keep everybody on their side. And you know, we've got to clean. He's right. We've got to drain the swamp. We've got to clean Washington up, and it's got to be a place where people go to serve their country and for a couple terms and then go back home to the private sector.
They're on vacation, of which they seem to be on vacation a lot. Their poll numbers, they being Congress, are lower than low, and yet they're sitting there saying about Trump that he has excessive expectations. You know what? I would say that when they come back, I hope Trump puts the hammer down on Mitch McConnell, Ryan, and the rest of these clowns and says, look, I do have excessive expectations because I'm representing the people of the United States of America. Why aren't you?
That's exactly right. And, you know, I've met all these people when I was in Washington fighting the SEIU and getting the Employee Free Choice Act defeated, which was a terrible bill by the SEIU to force unionize people. And I've met these people, and I tell you what, when you speak to them and then you listen to them after you spoke to them and how they kind of brush it aside and you know, they don't want to do anything that upsets people and all that. It just makes you want to shake your head. And Americans need to wake up to the fact that our politicians are there for their own, you know, lifestyle. They're not there for what's best for America.
Amen. Talking about unions, just recently here in this area, you probably read about it, a union possibility vote was taken at a major business, and it went down in defeat resoundingly. And it seems like wherever the unions are trying to perpetrate themselves, today more so than 10 years ago, they're going down in flames. Am I wrong?
No, well, it depends on whose information you read. Now, you know, they say that the unions have won, I don't know, something like 70% of the elections they've been in, but most of these elections that they win are ones that they've been using the regulations and rulings that the Obama administration passed to force unionize people and intimidate people because they're getting information from employers on people's personal addresses and contact information. They're going out and they're intimidating these people. But where this is being controlled at, like out in your area, and you know, just recently the UAW lost big time to Nissan down in Mississippi, where people's rights are being upheld. The unions are getting beat bad. I think the vote at the Nissan plant was like 2,000 to 1,000, over 2,000 to 1,000 to get rid of the union and not have it in.
And you have stated many times on this program, and you have in your books, The Devil at Our Doorstep and The Devil at My Doorstep, that not all unions are bad, and you're not 100% anti-union. I belong to a union. I belong to the Screen Actors Guild. I've done quite a few movies in my career, and I'm not against all unions, but I don't like the thuggery, and I don't like the heavy-handedness that they portray in many instances.
Well, that's the problem, and you know, it's back in the day when you had smaller unions and that, and they did good things for people and that, but it's not these big unions anymore that are, you know, they've really lost a lot of membership over the last 10 years or so, and they're, you know, they're desperate. They're afraid that they're going to, you know, eventually be destroyed, and so they're out there doing everything they can to force unionize people, and it's not for the employees or the members. It's for the money for their own pocketbook and political agenda, and that's the sad part of it.
Absolutely. What about this story? You know the man, and you've met him, and he's from Indiana, our Vice President, Mike Pence. What about this story that kept cropping up over the last couple of days about how he's going to run in 2020, and it was kind of subversive against the Trump administration? What are your thoughts?
I think it's just the media out there trying to, undermine the Trump administration. They're doing everything they can to get him out of office and impeach him. And Zeb, as I've said before, we're going to continue to see this stuff, and I think it's going to get uglier as time goes along. And it's America's going to have to buck up and understand all this, misinformation and lies and rhetoric and intimidation tactics. Because it's the same thing me and my company went through with the SEIU. I look at it every day and say, yep, been there.
Is there, and maybe this is kind of an ambiguous question, but is there a list of do's and don'ts and concerns that you could possibly pass along to a lot of businesses and business owners that are listening this morning about the potentiality of what would happen if a union came into their business? I mean, is there something like that?
You there?
I am. Can you hear me now?
I lost you there for a second.
Oh, well, let me repeat the question. We've got a caller on the air. Is there a list of do's and don'ts that people that own businesses that are considering becoming a union that maybe they could glance and study and learn before they kind of take that deep plunge into becoming a union member?
Well, you're talking about the businesses themselves.
Yeah.
I would suggest they read my book because the book really, I think, explains and details what's truly going on. And go on site and read my blogs at thedevilatourdoorstep.com because I learned even more after my books came out. And I think that they will see the things that they should and shouldn't do. But here's the big thing. I think all businesses need to have some backbone and be willing to stand up and not capitulate to the pressure or the intimidation tactics of the unions.
I agree.
And give their employees' rights away.
I agree. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things about the media, Dave, is that, they're in their, desperation to destroy the Trump administration or Donald Trump, they are willing to take chances and with even North Korea, the way they spew this BS, that you say to yourself, this is not something to be trifled with, but if it's CNN or it's MSNBC or whatever it is, they just seem like they want to, they almost want something terrible to happen so it can take him down, and in their desperation to get their, what they want. It's a very sorry situation. I'll hang out.
Dave, respond to the caller, please.
Well, he's right. It is a very sorry situation, but this is part of the agenda. This is part of the tactics, and behind the scenes, the far left and the unions, or major unions like the SEIU, are controlling the press. And if they don't say what they want them to say, then they go after the press's advertisers, and the media loses revenues, and they're not going to do that. They're going to do what it takes for them to continue their revenues and what the left wants them to do. And it's a sad thing that Americans need to wake up to. And quite honestly, more and more people I'm talking to about this, when I'm out, on business meetings or just out socially, and I bring these things up, more people are saying, Dave, you're exactly right. The media is being controlled by the left.
But now, let's be really definitive here. I still think there are pockets. I still think there are hosts. I still think there are journalists that absolutely appreciate a fair and honest and balanced approach to what really is going on. But the public absolutely has to find those sources so they don't fall in the trap of just swallowing all the liberal garbage. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely, and that's why all of us have to keep talking to people and waking people up. Because I'm going to be honest, as I've been out and about and met people, and people that are more to the left, they're more liberal, and I've talked to them and I've given examples of what's going on and they step back and think a little bit, and they go, Dave, you're right. We do need to be cautious and watch this, and we just need to keep getting the word out. and educating these people.
Dave, when you look at Venezuela, and that was Obama's optimum, oh, we should be just like Venezuela. Look at right now, you can't even buy toilet paper in Venezuela. And it's falling apart at the seams. The people are absolutely rioting and rebellious, and that's socialism. Why? Why can't this great country, the United States of America, with the liberal left, these loons, why can't they perceive what they're doing to themselves?
You mean why can't the people here perceive?
Yeah, I mean, what is going on with the Democrats and the liberals that they can't see the negativity of what they're trying to enhance in this, the greatest country in the world? They're trying to throw it apart.
Well, it's because the far left is their goal is to control this country and take it over and turn us into a socialist country. Unfortunately, a lot of the liberals in that, they've been Democrats, their families have been Democrats for life, so they think they should go along this line of thinking. But, Zeb, again, I think some of them are starting to step back and look in the mirror and say, you know, this isn't the party that my dad and grandfather and great-grandfather were in. This is something totally different, and it's time that we relook at this. And I think the Democratic Party is seeing that. I think they're concerned about what kind of voting out, output they're going to get from the Democrats in the election here.
Absolutely. Dave, I know you got a lot on your plate, and on behalf of Deanne and I, because you're a dear friend, we extend the very best to you and your family and hope circumstances prevail on the positive note. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the program this morning with everything else, and just God's blessings to you, and please extend prayers to your dad. I appreciate that.
I will do that, and I thank you for that, and you guys have a great day out there.
All right, Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, a really, really dear friend, and I look forward to having him on our program every Wednesday at 9:06. By the way, there are a lot of great merchants over in the Cassia County area, Burley, that want you to attend the Cassia County Fair. And I'll tell you about some of those right now. Burley Veterinary Hospital, these are nice folks at 2869 Overland Avenue in Burley. Burley Veterinary Hospital serving you and your animals. And they say good luck to all the 4-H and FFAers, and they work on all animals, large and small. And they've got 2 doctors, and they do a great job, and they will see you at the Cassia County Fair, Burley Veterinary Hospital. And Perkins Bakery and Restaurant. Good. 800 North Overland in Burley, and they're located at the Burley Inn. Easy access for truck and trailer parking, too. And go on in there during Fair Week and enjoy a great meal. Woo, baby, let me tell you, 10% off on your meal for the entire family. Just ask your server how at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant in Burley. And then last but not least, oh my goodness, what a store they have. We're talking about Bedke Treasure Barn at 1558 Normal Avenue in Burley. My goodness, they've got it all. They have really got the treasures. I'm talking about from pool tables to table and chair sets, salon barber chairs. Now, everybody needs to have a barber chair in their living room. I wouldn't mind having one. That'd be kind of fun. And they've got all the tools. They've got everything over there at Bedke Treasure Barn, 1558 Normal Avenue in Burley. And all of those businesses invite you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. So don't forget that. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, and want to invite your calls. In just a moment, we're going to have a gentleman on the air by the name of Michael Doherty, and we're going to be visiting with him about hacking, computer hacking, subject that yours truly's got a whole bunch to learn about, so we'll find out more with Michael. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Boy, I tell you, we always put the important things in life on the back burner and say, well, I'll get to it next Thursday. Well, I'm telling you, you better give them a call, because they are the professionals with your insurance coverage that you need, whether it's life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. You, your family, your business, you better take care of everything. Call Cameron and Siemens Insurance today. Don't put it off. And the number's 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Oh, yeah, one more note here, that if you're over in that neck of the woods or part of the desert or traveling hither and yon, be sure and stop over to 270 Highway 24 in Rupert because of Let's Ride. My goodness, if you haven't been there, just kind of park in front, open the showroom door, peek in, and you'll go, holy buckets, how did they get all these things in here? They've got all the four-wheelers, they've got all the side-by-sides, they've got the watercraft, they've got all the accessory department. Whoever planned where to put everything over at Let's Ride did a tremendous job. And don't forget, too, a super service department to keep you running and enjoying the great Idaho outdoors. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the world. It is true. This is where the fun is sold. Absolutely. Great place to go. There is going to be, as soon as I get the note over here, I just about dropped all the papers on the floor. Handy son of a gun I am. Great big ice cream social coming up this Sunday at the Rupert United Methodist Church. And it's going to start at 6 o'clock. Annual Community Ice Cream Social this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. Rupert United Methodist Church, 605 H Street, and it's on the front lawn. And it is free. All kinds of homemade ice cream and cakes, entertainment by David and Melissa Bowman, and it is free. I love that word. So don't forget that coming up on Sunday. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and with us for this next segment is a man by the name of Michael Doherty. He is a senior writer for Cyber Defense Magazine, a board member at Snoopwall, and he's written a book called The Devil Inside the Beltway, the shocking expose of the U.S. government's surveillance and overreach into cybersecurity, medicine, and small business. How did he get all that on the front cover of a book? I'll never know, but let's find out. Michael Doherty, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Man, I tell you what, introducing you takes like the Gettysburg Address.
Well, most times they just stop the devil inside the beltway, and everybody knows what it's about.
Okay. Michael, I am, and I'm not proud of this, but I am computer illiterate. I don't want to mess around with tech. I don't like to play with computers. I don't like smartphones. I'm a cowboy. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I've always said that if you can't saddle it and rope it, what good is it? Tell me where I've gone wrong in my life.
Well, actually, I think you've gone right. You're just in one unfortunate part of world history here, because all this should have been easier, and it is easy, except, this is a whole new world that we're creating, and we didn't think about its security or privacy when we first started. And so now, we built the house, and we got a really lousy foundation, and now we'll tear the house down, so we got to live with all this while people try to backfill and fix the security issues. So we got a few years more of this stuff, whereas if you own a company with any type of computer, you almost have to be a computer expert as well as an expert in what type of business you're in, and that's a tough state of affairs.
Michael, there is so much going on with our lack of privacy, and I'm kind of shotgunning questions here this morning that I'm making up on the fly, so bear with me. But our personal security is gone. Somebody's going to have their name and their credit stolen all day long, it happens. Why and how is this happening? Have we lost any kind of personal keeping of our integrity, or is everything fair game for the world to know?
Well, okay, let's start with the big picture is that the Internet has taken everything and put it in one big pot and stirred it. So all the good guys and the bad guys. Now, the good news is, that most of us are just little peons, and they're not interested in the little teeny bit of data that's on our workstations or servers, because it's not really going to get them anything valuable. But what we have done is we have pooled all this valuable data together, in medicine and government and employee health. That's where the big stuff is. And those are, companies' information, government staff, Office of Personnel Management got hacked. So as far as your own computer goes at home, if you're just a lowly single person out there like me, you just have to back up your data and not click on stuff that you don't know what it is, because 80% of all these things are human error. Even with all this good kid stuff, most of this is just dumb stuff. Don't click on links. Don't open files we don't know. If it's from someone you know and doesn't make any sense, don't open it, because someone's probably covering up the name of an alias. So that's that. Now, as far as the big government stuff, we have a government that is a lumbering bureaucracy. It has a culture of no accountability, and that's the perfect storm to exploit people, because no one gets in trouble for making a mistake. And that means that we're not that secure right now within our government, and we are just, there's not much as individuals we can do except to make sure we have government people that actually hold each other accountable. The government really has to change in Washington.
Okay, but Michael, you are an expert, and that's why I've got you on this program. When we hear about all the leaks that are going on in this administration and all the non-compliance with the laws, actually almost being traitors, why can't we find these people and why can't we prosecute them? Is the system so distorted that we can't find out who's doing this?
Yeah, well, it is actually, and it's been going on for a century. We have not had a civics book that's been a complete story in 100 years. And all the agencies have been given all sorts of power, and we have not been educated, even in our civics classes for our kids, about what these agencies do and what power they have, because if we knew, we'd be appalled and mad, and we'd move to change it. What's happening now is, because of technology and medicine, the arrogance of these people, and they've gotten so big, they're screwing it up big time. And what's new is that we're witnessing them really operate a level of incompetence and then corruption and then not being held accountable. And the not being held accountable part has been baking the cake for several decades. It was made a lot worse with the Obama administration because the Obama administration was full of zealots that considered stretching the rules fine because they were politically correct in what their opinions were. And it will take Donald Trump more than 6 months to turn it around. It's just a lumbering beast that's been going on for a century, and it's going to take more than a week to fix it.
All right, now, I wanted to talk to you this morning about hacking and getting into other computer files, top secret files, Hollywood files, like in the case of HBO with a data breach, etc. And I guess my question is, being very naive about this kind of subject and basically stupid, is every situation hackable? I mean, when you look at the overall computers and the usage, is everybody not safe?
Yes. It's a matter of degrees. And it's a matter of how hackable are you because of how valuable is what you've got, and how hackable are you because how good are your tools and your human habits. Again, human habits are the biggest problem, and human habits are the hardest thing to fix. You can have Fort Knox locked up with the largest lock in the world. It's impossible to break, but if some idiot leaves the key on the counter, that's worthless. And so it's all the human error that goes on, so that makes everything essentially hackable.
But when you look at the situation in the article written about HBO and the hacking about one of their upcoming movies, etc., and then you equate that to our safety and security with our nuclear codes and everything else, I don't know this, but I would imagine there are bad guys, bad people, and bad governments that 24/7, 365 are trying to hack into this and absolutely destroy any kind of security we've got. Is that right?
Well, that's true, but I will tell you that the NSA, the security part of the policing part of the government, or the military part of the government, is going to be way more secure than the non-military. And what's transition is everyone has to be secure. That's why you don't see bad big hacks at the NSA. What you see is an insider stealing stuff and walking out the door. Where at the Office of Personnel Management, it was just complete incompetence and terrible hardware setups, nothing updated, a real embarrassment. And HBO, just because it's HBO, that's a big entertainment company. They do movies really great. They do entertainment really great. We don't know yet how bad their security was. This thing's moving so fast and changing so quickly that what was cutting edge 2 years ago could be outdated now. So and you see one breach, you've seen one breach. They're all different. It's almost like medical disease management. It's just very, it has to be analyzed. But I would say that the nuclear codes are way more difficult to get to than an HBO movie.
Let me ask you this. You used a phrase earlier in your conversation called human habits. Those are the words you used. Do we create a lot of our own problem because of habits that we have that we're not aware of with the computer and the storage of our information? Share a little bit more about that, would you please?
Yeah, I mean, heck, it's always the dang human, sorry to tell you. The machines are merciless and repetitive, and they don't get exhausted. But humans, have to be trained. There's no replication. It's a lot of work, and, it only takes one to screw things up. So, for example, the State Department got hacked, and then that led to the White House getting hacked a couple of years ago. Well, that started with an outside rogue, intruder trying to get tons of people at the State Department to click on an email. Well, 500 of them didn't, but number 501 did. And that allowed some malware in that infected the computer, and that allowed a lot of things to be read and email addresses from the White House to be gotten, and then they tried the same thing. The issue is they don't have to bat 1,000. They have to just bat 0.01% and get that one person to let them in, and they have all day to try it. So that's where the human error comes in, because it really just boils down to don't open things that you don't know, don't click on links, and boy, you'll be a lot safer. And then, so you're not held ransom in your own home when it's not the White House or the State Department, where human error is just going to allow your computer to be held ransom. The ransom isn't worth anything if you've got adequate backups of your data. Because it's not like your data is so relevant to the whole world. It's just valuable to you. And the hassle of, hiring a lawyer and then paying all that money versus coughing up $500 to somebody, a lot of people pay it. And it's terrible. There's a lot of people pay it, but it's a cheaper way to go. But the even cheaper way to go is to have a backup copy all the time, so that when someone has it, you go, well, I got a backup copy, so you don't have any leverage from me. Go pound sand.
Michael, let me ask you this question. I think it was yesterday, after I got finished with my program, I always go out, read the local newspaper, and do a few program notes for the next day. And I had the news on, and I do not know who the person was, but they were talking about passwords in opposition to using passphrases on your computer. And they said don't use the names of your animals as your pets as passwords. What about safety? This guy that was talking about passphrases are much safer than passwords. Would you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, there's this whole thing about passwords, because it's basically what is the likelihood of someone using a password of someone they're related to or someone they know. So the more digits you have in anything, that the odds are slimmer that someone's going to be able to sort of statistically guess it. So people statistically guess, your name of your children, the name of your maiden name, your mother's maiden name, the name of your pet, the name of your spouse, something like the year you were born, the year you graduated in college, and they want to use phrases because that can change. The issue is, again, I hate to break it, you should always use passwords, but passwords being broken is not where all these things are happening. So that's good, what they call computer hygiene. It's smart, it's important, but, they're moving on to other things now. Now they're looking at using, thumbprints or eye scans or things like that. So it's okay, but that's not the source of the problem.
Let me ask you this with your book, The Devil Inside the Beltway. If people get that book, what is the theme of the book, and what do you want them, the readers, to take away from your book when they close the last cover?
Well, the book is written like a novel, because I got into all this because a tree fell down on me. I founded a cancer detection center, and I was running it, and we had someone come in and steal data. And really the story is more about how the government bureaucrats act, because instead of going after the crook, they went after me. And then it's written like a novel, so you can just put yourself in the shoes of my company and everyone that was doing cancer diagnostics in a medical laboratory, and are shocked when the government thinks that it's our fault that we got hacked. And then it turned out that the government was working with the hacker beforehand, and the hacker is sitting in front of Congress testifying like a good guy, and the government's believing it. So this is all about really the people that we have in power, how they got in power, how education and knowledge is not necessary for them to have their power, and what they'll do. And it really is about, honestly, it's about the swamp. It's about how things work in Washington. And this is just one example. I often say, and I'm half joking, I'm half serious, the Sopranos TV series is a training video of how to work in Washington. Because that's basically, it's all about whistling past the graveyard and not making enemies and intimidating people to ignore corruption.
Let me ask you this final thought here this morning, Michael. When you talk about surveillance, and you talk about the NSA, and you talk about listening in on phone conversations and having files on the American public, how much do we know, how much do we not know about what our own government is doing to basically spy on us?
Well, we don't know a lot because they're never going to tell us. And this is the double-edged sword when people like Snowden happen and they get made villains or heroes. They're heroes to some people and villains to others. And this is the big quagmire we're in, because there are bad guys everywhere. It's a human condition. And the government's in a tough spot like the NSA to protect us. I mean, those people are very technologically competent. They're not like the Federal Trade Commission that are just a bunch of lawyers. And so it's tough because everything's mixed up. And unlike 50 years ago, you have to get through the good guys to get to the bad guys. And there's no way around it on the data. So there's privacy concerns. And it's really a choice of pick your poison. I mean, do you want to have total privacy and then the people that are supposed to protect you can't have access? Because you can't trust the people in the government. And this is why there has to be more checks and balances inside the government. This is why accountability is so important. If we see people in the government get away with bad acts and not held accountable, we have less trust in them to respect what they know about us and not use it against us.
Michael, have we reached a point in our society, or the world society, to where they, whoever they are, know where we are, what we do, and what we say 24/7? Are we at that point that we've lost any kind of individual security?
I don't think so, honestly, because that's such a mountain of data. It's not important. If they want to go backwards and find out, they can piece it together. Because there's cameras everywhere, and again, that's the whole Sophie's Choice here, folks. That's the tough part about all this. But I don't think it's as bad as that extreme.
Yeah. Michael, the book, The Devil Inside the Beltway, where can people pick up a copy of your book?
Well, it's really the easiest thing is Amazon. I mean, it's at Apple and iPad form, but Amazon has Kindle, audiobook, ebook, hardcover, softcover.
I've got it.
It's a pretty good read. It's in TV series development, and it's all about how the government investigated it. And when they sued me, I'm working on another book now to show what's gone on since. It's pretty amazing.
I got to do the whole thing, so bear with me. Ladies and gentlemen, the author of The Devil Inside the Beltway, the shocking expose of the U.S. government's surveillance and overreach into cybersecurity, medicine, and small business, Michael Dougherty. I did it, Michael, and I hope you come back again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Very interesting, and my lack of knowledge with the computer world, and he simplifies everything and gives it to us in kind of a pablum form that I can understand. But that book, The Devil Inside the Beltway, talking about our Washington, D.C., and exposing the U.S. government's surveillance and overreach into cybersecurity, medicine, and small business. Very interesting. Michael Doherty, thank you for being on the program. Holy moly, look at the clock. And the clock tells Zeb that it's time for the weather. Past time for the weather, actually. And it's brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, CPAs, providing accounting services to the Minicash area for well over 50 years. They are good, and they can help you, your family, and your business. They've got 2 locations in Burley and Rupert, with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. The list goes on. They really serve you. And right now, is it live or is it Memorex? Here's Gina.
Well, it probably should be Memorex, but it's going to be live this time.
Okay.
Okay. So it is going to be smoky outside. We are still in that air quality alert so for those who have upper respiratory issues, please make note of that. It is going to be breezy as well today and this afternoon. We have a 20% chance of rain showers or thunderstorms. Looking at a high of 85 tonight, those thunderstorms could continue with a low of 56. For tomorrow, pretty much the same areas of smoke, slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon with a high of 86. Right now we're sitting at 63 here at the K-Bar Studios.
All righty-dighty, and brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. CPAs that really can help you. Please get a hold of them today. Burley and Rupert locations, they are the best at what they do in serving you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. By the way, the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo is in full swing. Last night was their first performance, and tonight on Wednesday, August 9th, tonight is 4-H and FFA night. And tomorrow night, Tough Enough to Wear Pink night. Top cowboys from all over the country coming in to the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. And they've got activities every day going on, all the carnivals. And they've got, like I said, the PRCA rodeo. And then on Friday, they're going to have bloodless bullfights. And on Saturday also, they're going to have that big tractor pull. So don't miss it at your Jerome County Fair and Rodeo for 2017. Gina, I've got a quick question for you. I know you're wearing 4 or 5 hats this morning running the station, but have you felt like I do that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, or no matter what you write or type or put on your computer, someone is watching you?
Always. Here's a funny little thing. I don't know how much you use your smartphone, because I do know that you have a smartphone.
Yep.
And I don't know if you ever use your location services or whatever.
I don't, and I'll get into that in a minute. Make your point.
Okay, so here's my point. There's a lot of times when James or whoever, having a conversation, and we might be talking on a specific topic. And so then, I might go, open my phone and go to, research said topic.
Yep.
I'll type in maybe 2 letters, and it'll automatically pop up. Tell me that they aren't listening.
Bingo.
You've got a phone call too, by the way.
But I want to just make a point with you real quick. You're like I am in a lot of respects. I am absolutely appalled that we have lost our privacy and our individuality.
Yeah, we have.
All right.
Absolutely, we have. It's kind of a scary thing. So for those of you who have, smartphones and things like that, they're always watching.
Amen.
And they're always listening.
Amen. I hope they're always listening to this program, but that's a horse of a different color.
Right.
All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Hoss, this is the Chief.
Well, hello, Chief.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. What can I do for you?
Smoke's about got you down?
It's not good for anybody. It's been really bad. Asthmatics, people with allergies. It's been tough. I bet it's been hard on you.
Oh, boy, my eyes were on fire for a couple of days, all swollen up. But what I was going to talk to you about is, they said that they thought maybe those guys in North Korea could maybe put together one missile. But now all of a sudden they've got information that there's possibly 60.
Yeah.
So with that kind of sort of failure in intelligence, wonder if they had a intercontinental ballistic missile, which means it goes into space, and wherever that warhead has been programmed to drop, it will fly to it and drop it anywhere on the globe.
Yeah.
So they have one that's got 12 warheads in it, and we don't know about it, and we have no way to stop that. We can't pop one of these missiles like they did over in Iraq and take it down. Once it's up there, it's over. And I kind of hope that Dianne Feinstein's kind of home that day. Because it's going to be bad.
And you know, Chief, your thoughts and your procedure of explaining it was very well done. I personally am thinking that we're way behind on knowledge of what North Korea can do and can't do, and I think we're catching up. And I think also there might be some subliminal help being provided by China and some of our adversaries to the point where there's a lot more there than what we know of or have learned about. I agree with you. Chief, I don't want to be rude because I really enjoy hearing from you. I got a commercial I got to get on before the end of the hour, but I hope all is well in your chiefdom, and please call back. God bless you, man.
Thank you. There, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hadn't heard from him for a long time. Nice guy. I appreciate him. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. Yes, they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. And they are able to provide one-on-one care. You know, for your loved ones that need that extra help, this is a great place for them. And they invite everybody to visit their place, their facility, anytime, take a tour, and they make every effort to make sure that Autumn Haven is the best place. So, here we go. This is the name of the place, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Please call them today, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. Wow, busy program this morning, and here's what we got cooking for this next hour. We've been talking about North Korea substantially this morning, and what to do, what not to do, what needs to be done in a finalization, because this country is rogue and the leadership is crazy. That's the bottom line. And we're going to be talking to Dr. Herb London in just a few moments, and he's going to be talking about Trump's comments and what needs to be done, not what should be done, what needs to be done about North Korea. Then at 10:32 this morning, I'm going to be very blessed to have a dear friend come on this program, and that's former Representative Bert Stevenson. I think the world of Bert and Elaine. They are dear, dear friends, and Bert's going to be coming on talking about water issues and then also secondarily politics. So here's a man that knows and has been in the political scene for years and years. So that's what's coming up in the next hour, and we urge you to stay tuned. Right now, we're going to send it back over to the lovely Gina Jameson, and she is going to play a little tune, and she can sing if she wants to, as she leads us up to CBS News at the top of the hour. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't you go away. Smoky, cloudy, cooler. Oh, it's kind of yucky outside. And with all that smoke, you'd better be careful if you've got some kind of lung problems or asthma, whatever. It's not nice. A lot of smoke. And it's supposed to dissipate over the next couple of days. Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. I'm very fortunate to have our next guest with us this morning. It's very timely for all the discussions we've had so far this morning on North Korea and the problems that are popping up that need to be addressed on an immediate basis. And we have a foreign policy analyst, Dr. Herb London, and he's also the book author of Leading from Behind, the Obama Doctrine and the U.S. Retreat from International Affairs. I've had him on the program before. I value his perspective. Good morning, Dr. Herb London. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to hear your voice.
You know, Dr. London, where are we at right now in your opinion? I said this morning that we have to treat North Korea as the schoolyard bully. He has bloodied too many noses, and now it's time to take him out. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I don't think there's any question about the bullying of North Korea. It's obviously the practice of Kim Jong-un. What I think you have to realize is that we've kicked the can down the road for a considerable period, more than 25 years, with his grandfather and his father. And now the time has come when we recognize the fact that North Korea possesses the technical capability of sending an ICBM to the United States. This is a very worrisome scenario. And then you hear the rhetoric that we heard yesterday about the potential attack on Guam. Now, again, the United States cannot put itself in the position where the security of the American people, as well as the security of our forces in Guam, Japan, and South Korea, are in jeopardy. So I think that the President of the United States has to look at matters very differently from his predecessors.
Now, when you say that, Dr. London, and Trump was already criticized for his phraseology of saying that whatever North Korea does, they will be met with fire and fury. I would go back to Ronald Reagan when he was denouncing Gaddafi and calling him an animal and a beast and everything. The language even from Reagan was far more, I think, insightful of violence than what Donald Trump said about retaliation with fire and fury. What did you think?
Well, I mean, the president made his comments in a contingent manner, just as Kim Jong-un made his comments in a contingent manner. Kim Jong-un made the comment that we would engage in a preemptive strike against Guam if there is further provocation from the United States. Now, I don't know what that provocation would be. I'm not even sure that Kim understands that. But nonetheless, it was contingent. The president said, we will introduce fire and fury into North Korea of a kind that the world has not seen before if, in fact, the North Koreans act in a manner that challenges the security of the United States. Again, it's a contingent statement. It's not saying that we're just going out and going to start using nuclear weapons or our bombers or our artillery. We are going to see how the North Koreans behave. Again, both statements are contingent statements. It's one of the reasons why the markets have not declined dramatically, because people understand these kinds of contingent statements are very much dependent on the word if people engage in a certain kind of activity.
Dr. London, I know it's hindsight, but how did we get in this position with a very small country and a very loudmouth dictator absolutely threatening the safety and security of the world? How did we get here?
Well, I think you know the answer, and that was the extortion racket that the North Koreans engaged in led the United States to believe if we give them food or fuel, in the end, that they will capitulate. This was the view of President Clinton, who you may remember made a public comment, said, well, you don't have to worry about the North Korean nuclear program any longer because we've given them food and they signed an agreement with us. Well, one part of that equation was addressed. We did give them the food, but they never ceased their nuclear weapons program. So it's been one president after another who's kicked the can down the road, not wanting to attend to this matter directly. And in part, it's understandable because there was the belief on the part of the intelligence community that North Korea would not possess the technical skills to launch any kind of attack until roughly 2020 or 2022. And so there was a period where you believe, well, you know, we got a free ride. Maybe something will happen, regime change in the period between 1915, 1916, and 2020. But of course, now we realize that was wrong. That estimate was wrong. The North Koreans do possess the technical capability of sending an ICBM to North America.
Yeah, I want you to elaborate on that with your expertise, because as few as 6 months ago, we were being told, well, it's going to be 10 years, well, it's going to be maybe 6 years. How did the intelligence update be so dramatically changed to where, all of a sudden, we have to worry on the west coast of the United States?
Well, it's not the first time that the intelligence community has made a mistake about nuclear weapons and the dangers associated with nuclear weapons. This was true in Pakistan. It was true in 2007 with Iran, when the National Security Council came up with a report indicating that Iran had ceased its nuclear weapons program. No, it's not the first time that this has happened. These are intelligence errors. It happens, of course, time after time. And one of the reasons why is that I don't think that we have a very good record on dealing with nations like the Hermit Kingdom, in part because of the secrecy associated with what goes on in North Korea and penetrating the North Korean nation and its communications network.
Dr. London, we have so many things as Americans right now to look around the globe and worry about for our safety and security for our children and our grandchildren, whether it's Iran, whether it's North Korea, whether it's the ISIS threat. I mean, how can we in today's world, how can we take care of all this, and is there any bright spot at the end of the tunnel?
Look, there's always a bright spot. I mean, I'm not one of those people like Kafka who argue there's always hope, but not for us. Sure, there's hope. There's hope for us because Americans have gone through many crises before. It's also true that if you're looking at the technological advantages that the United States possesses, we are the strongest nation in the world. There is no question. Whether we apply our resources adequately, whether we have the will to use the resources that we have for the defense of the country, whether we still have the strength of character to deal with the issues that we are obliged to contend with. Those are obviously big questions that remain for the future. But there is no doubt at the moment the United States has great strength, and that strength is recognized by people around the globe. During the Obama years, we did not use that strength, and we talked about leading from behind. That was absurd. That was an oxymoron. You can't lead from behind. The kind of leadership that the United States can provide would obviously make the world a lot safer than it is at the moment. And now the question is, can the Trump administration restore the confidence that our allies once had in the United States? Can we put ourselves in the position where we use our diplomacy in order to create an environment where people across the globe come to the realization the United States has the strength and the strength of will in order to maintain stability worldwide?
Dr. London, when you look at the past election with Hillary and Donald Trump, and you're a student of what's been done in the past because a lot of that repeats itself in the future, are you like me very, very thankful that Donald Trump defeated Hillary and we're not underneath her administration?
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, I think that it would have been catastrophic for America if Hillary Clinton were elected. Obviously, this involves, a clear political bias on my part. But I do think that this country was very fortunate to have a Donald Trump running and for Donald Trump to win. Had Hillary Clinton won, I think the kind of attitude that she had on the national security front was evident when she was Secretary of State. It would have been catastrophic, in my judgment.
Do you feel that there is an underground movement or a groundswell of liberalism that wants to make us an appeasing nation and basically capitulate to the rest of the world and become a third world country?
Look, the left in America is relentless in its desire to destroy the Trump administration. There is a combination of a kind of radical Muslim view and left-wing attitudes in the United States that come together, even though they appear to be unlikely partners. I call it the watermelon alliance, because it's the green and the red. And the reason why they've come together is because they detest America. They detest America, what America stands for. The positions of the United States, which I believe in, and I believe have contributed so much to the welfare of the world, this is not understood by the left, who can only see exploitation, colonialism, and a variety of other conditions, including the extension of slavery. This is the way they see America. Through the lens that they employ, there is no question that that kind of America is not an America you would want to defend. I believe that the America that we have today is America worth defending. Despite its warts, despite its mistakes, despite some of the things that we have done inappropriately, this is an extraordinary country that represents a gift to the world. We are the light that shines across the world. When people talk about how they want to engage in politics in the future, that light at the Statue of Liberty represents the beacon of hope for most people everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why, when the Tiananmen Square business was created, those young Chinese students didn't build the Eiffel Tower, they didn't build the pyramids, they built the Statue of Liberty, because the Statue of Liberty represents precisely the kind of goals they would like to emulate.
Dr. London, I would say this, and I want you to give me your response in these words. I feel that the only way America, its goals, aspirations, and constitution and values are going to survive, we have to reinstill a pride in this country, and it's got to start in our school system. How do we change that?
Well, again, if students are going to read Howard Zinn and nothing else about American history, you're not restoring pride. I think what we have to do is to once again suggest to the educators in America, look, you want to talk about the failures of the United States? That's fine with me. But let's talk about the accomplishments as well. Let's talk about the things that America has made possible for all people across the globe, from the institution of the iPhone to the technologies associated with the Internet. Let's look at what America has achieved. Let's look at the freedoms that we enjoy. Let's look at individual rights that have been created here. Let's talk about the rule of law. Let's talk about the free market. There is no doubt that the prosperity that we enjoy in large part because of the freedoms we enjoy as well. We are privileged to live in this country. Young people should be encouraged to understand that belief. Unfortunately, that generally is not the case in many American institutions today.
What about the millennial generation? What about the lack of free speech, like at campuses at USC and Berkeley, etc.? What about the absolute destitute of any personal responsibility of going out, getting a job, and trying to be an asset for the country? This seems to be dying, and how do we reinstill that?
Well, I mean, you reinstill that one step at a time. And you say at the universities today, if you do not believe that the First Amendment of the United States should continue, then I have some news for you. The federal government also has an obligation to maintain our Constitution. You are not going to be funded by the federal government, whether you're a private or public institution, whether you receive grants as a private institution or you're being supported as a public institution. We will not use taxpayer money to assist you in undermining the First Amendment.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, Doctor. Stand by. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Well, last night on one of the shows on Fox, there was an environmentalist, and he thought he was on with Tucker, and he was mouthy, arrogant, and may or may not know the truth. But he was saying that having children was creating a higher carbon footprint. And he says, and Tucker says, what about all the highest reproduction rates are in Africa? Are we supposed to tell the African people that they're not supposed to reproduce? He says, no. He says the ones that are creating the problem are the ones in Europe and America. And then, of course, he did say China and India. Well, this is the thing. That ultimately, they always just want Americans to do this. They don't care if China does, India does it. Western Europe, they've lost their soul. But you see, this kind of thing is what is being perpetuated in our learning institution, our colleges. And so if America doesn't reproduce, we are in trouble. Thanks.
Respond to that, please, Dr. London.
I agree more with that comment. My feeling is that the attacks that you are seeing through environmentalism represent the new religion. It is a religion based on the totem of environmental security. And what are you talking about? You never talk about China and India, the two most populous nations on the globe. You talk about the United States and Western Europe. This is an attack on Western civilization. This is the belief that the Western civilization is no longer worth defending. That's what it comes down to. And it takes the form of a kind of dogma. And as you quite rightly point out, this is the sentiment that is very widespread in American universities.
You know, I think it's correctable. I pray that it's correctable. But your book, the Leading from Behind, when people buy the book, Dr. London, and we've talked about this in the past, what's the main theme or impetus that you want them to use when they close the cover? What do you want them to do after they read your book?
Well, I want them to understand that the most important thing about American foreign policy is that the United States cannot opt out of foreign policy and suggest that the arc of history is moving in our direction. We don't have to do anything. Nations will ultimately act responsibly. That is a naive and very dangerous position. It was the position of the Obama administration. I want to see people establish a pathway to the future, using the Donald Trump administration as a way to come through with various foreign policy options that represent the interests of the United States and the interests of the West. When Donald Trump gave his speech in Poland, I wanted to stand up and cheer. For the first time in a long time, not since Ronald Reagan, a president stood up in front of a foreign audience and he said, I am here to defend the values and the principles of the West. That, it seems to me, is what we should be hearing every day of the week. Our civilization is unique. Some might even say superior. And I would use that word, superior. The West is best. And we should be able to put ourselves in the position where we every single day recognize the blessings that are associated with being here in America and being, of course, in Western civilization.
One final thought, Dr. London, and I have said this for a long time, as have many of my callers, that we need to be, I think, more introverted for our own cares and our own worries and not be subjective to the United Nations and what their demands are. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that we've got to think about the interests of the United States, where we stand in the world, because in the end, that benefits everyone.
You know, Dr. London, where can the book be obtained, Leading from Behind? Tell us.
It can be obtained through Amazon. It's roughly $15. I'd love to hear from your listeners who buy a copy of the book. They can always write to me at londoncenter.org.
I appreciate you being on the program again. Please come back. Dr. Herb London, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your great work. All the best.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Absolutely a great scholar when it comes to studying what's going on around the world and our involvement. And he is the president of the London Center for Policy Research. And the book is called Leading from Behind, the Obama Doctrine and the U.S. Retreat from International Affairs. Very interesting gentleman. Thank you very much. We got to pay some bills, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the merchants that are inviting you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, like Streamline Precision of Burley. Hello, Tim and the rest of the crew. These are really good folks, and they want to give a huge shout out to our policemen and our firemen that protect us every day, and also, a big thanks to the 4-H and FFAers and all their projects they're going to have at the fair. And above all, don't forget that Streamline Precision can build any steel buildings just the way you want them for agricultural, industrial, and community use. Believe me, they know, and they can help you. Call Tim at 431-7314 or 678-9204. Streamline Precision of Burley. They really are community-minded and want you to go to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Along with our friends at Butte Irrigation. Holy moly, let's get right to the tagline. They'll get you wet. Absolutely, when it comes to irrigation. The name you need to know and remember is Butte Irrigation, with two locations, 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 South in Paul, or another new location on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. And they've got the big per tower rebates from Zomatic and huge discounts from Butte Irrigation right now. Get a hold of them today. Butte Irrigation, it's true, they'll get you wet. Oh, my. Gina is the smoke. It's a little bit less here at my house than it was yesterday. How's it over there?
It doesn't seem like it's any more or any less. I mean, there's still... I'm looking out at the same trees I was yesterday, and I can still almost barely see them, and then I can't even see Pomerelle.
Really?
Usually I can see Pomerelle from the window in the other studio. Now I can't even see it at all.
Well, I want to say thanks again. I know this is almost after the fact, but thank you for all your help in keeping the program alive and well this morning, because without an engineer and a board op and a person to console me in my moments of fits and stress, I thank you very much.
I'm always here for you, Zeb.
You know, I do miss the old days, though, when you used to be on the air every morning and we get a chance to converse, whether we agreed or not, and those were fun times.
They were. Yes, they were. And we can still converse.
You
know how to get a hold of me.
No, I do, and I call you regularly on your cell phone. By the way, how's the boy? I forgot to ask you how your son's doing.
Well, he is on his great summer jaunt.
Uh-huh.
So he spent 2 months with his father, and now he's up in northern Idaho with my parents, so he's going to spend 3 weeks with the grandparents up in northern Idaho. And then when I go on vacation on the 20th, I'm going to swing up through Seattle, and then on my way back through, I am going to pick up Kennedy at my parents' house in Potlatch and bring him back home because he starts school on the 28th.
No, you're driving, right?
I'm flying up to Seattle, and then I'm going to be driving back to northern Idaho with a friend of mine, and in the pit stop, remember that 74 Super Beetle that I picked up for my daughter?
I do.
Okay, well, she's never driven it. So long story short, it's coming back home with Mom. So I'm going to swing back through, pick that up, and then James is going to go up to northern Idaho and pick up the clan and bring everybody home.
I think I got lost on the interstate by Jerome.
Yes, pretty much. I'm flying out and then driving back.
Are you eventually, I heard a rumor that you're going to open up a new business called Jameson Used Cars.
Or something, honestly, I'm getting quite the collection. I need to downsize just a little.
Somebody asked me the other day, well, what does Gina drive? And then I started scratching my head, and I tried to remember all the cars that you fixed up and rebuilt and everything else, and I couldn't remember.
Well, okay, so there's the one that I'm bringing home. Okay, so let's start with the oldest, and we'll move up.
Okay.
I've got the 69 Bonneville.
Got it.
And then I've got 70 Travelall.
Really?
We're still working on that one. I've got a 71 GMC. I've got a 74 Super Beetle, 79 Chevy truck, and then I've got a 99 Grand Am, and then a 2007 Grand Prix.
All I can say, you've got 7 cars.
7 vehicles.
And
for every day of the week.
All I can tell you, my dear, is I'm glad you're buying the licenses and not me.
Well, so there's a couple of them that aren't licensed yet because they're still in rebuild mode. So there's no point in licensing because let's see. 2 are in rebuild mode right now.
You are an amazing person, and somebody ought to do a story on you, the very interesting and challenging talk show host and radio host, and then also mechanic and car restorer.
Yes. Oh, and which, by the way, I didn't tell you this, and maybe this is off topic, but on the topic, but guess who gets to MC Joe Mama's car show?
You!
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I can just see you up there. Honest to goodness, it's going to be great with you doing it. You do a fantastic job. God bless you, and we're going to send it back over to you right now, and then I'll take it the next half hour.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Lots of fun this year at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, August 12th through the 19th. Now, this coming Saturday, the 12th, of course, that great country music concert with Aaron Watson and Ned Ledoux. I can guarantee you're going to love these guys. They really are great entertainers and great country music singers. You're going to love it. Get your tickets. Call the fair office for those tickets this morning. And don't forget, all next week, the great big fair and rodeo, team ranch sorting, and, of course, carnivals and hypnotists and rodeo, PRC, a rodeo at its best on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All of this next week, along with pari-mutuel horse racing at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo for 2017. Don't you miss it. Right now, I am honored to have one of my dear friends for many, many years come on the program and talk about, first and foremost, the water situation here in the state of Idaho, and then get into some political aspects that are happening. And I say good morning to former State Representative Bert Stevenson. Good morning, my dear friend.
Good morning, Zeb. it's always interesting to listen to the funeral reports from Rasmussen's and find out I wasn't there yet today.
God's blessings to us. Thank you so much, Bert. Bert, we prayed for a lot of water, and we got a lot of rain and snow, and the snowpack was great, and the grass grew. We've had a good growing year. But with water and growing, now we're in the fire season, and a real big fire season. What are your thoughts about what's going on?
Well, Zeb, probably when we talk about fire season, I had the most encouraging news I've had yesterday when I read in the paper that the Obama administration, or the Trump administration, is going to let the states manage their public lands, or to a degree manage. They won't let us have all of it. But, but this will be the very best thing that can happen, because we get the cattle back on and get this grazed down. In the timber country, we'll be able to go in and harvest the diseased trees. I've never been more encouraged about our fire situation, and it'll take us 2 or 3 years. It's taken us 10 or 15 years to get in the mess we're in right now.
Absolutely. Now, with the opening up of the use of the land and the management, better management of the land, there again, you've always got the hue and cry of the environmental movement trying to stop it, trying to change the rules and regulatory means and methods. Are you concerned about they might be a fly in the milk and stop everything?
Well, Zeb, they've got the easiest way to stop things there is. And it only takes $50 or $100 for them to file a lawsuit, and then the federal government or the state government has to go in and defend their position. But I think we have the backbone in the federal and the state right now to try and fight those.
Bert, this has been a long time coming to have these kinds of openings available to us to reclaim a lot of our freedoms and a lot of our use of the land. And I bet you're pretty doggone happy about what's going on with this Trump administration.
Well, Zeb, I have to tell you there's some things I'd rather have different, but I can't get anybody to vote for me to be king, and so we'll take what we've got. You remember Ronald Reagan said that sometimes half a loaf's better than a whole loaf, or better than no loaf at all?
Absolutely.
And that's the position we're in right now. And when I look through the list of things that have been accomplished this year by the Trump administration, I can't for the life of me figure, and I don't blame that all onto the Democrats, unless the Republicans pull theirs. Unless they pull together, that's where we're at, Deb, and it's we just live with what we got. The thing that, to me, that I always have to remember, and I think you and everybody else need to remember, those people that are in Washington, we may not agree with them, but remember they were voted in to the same position as the people we agree with.
Absolutely. Now, Bert, with the water situation, and you've been on the State Water Board, and you know the ins and outs and the availability and how much we're able to maintain and keep in the reservoirs, etc. What is the status of our water going into the late fall and next year, 2018?
Zeb, I've never been more encouraged with what we've got in water. Right this, as of yesterday morning, we had 86% of our reservoir capacity in this upper Snake full. About 60-some% in the Treasure Valley. I can't remember when we've done that. Palisades today is 98% full. There's lots of years we never fill that reservoir. And so I feel really encouraged. In fact, the agreement that the Surface Water Coalition and the groundwater pumpers have entered into, it looks like that this fall we'll be able to recharge in the upper, and we want to recharge as much in the upper valley because it doesn't just run out the bottom here on the lower end. But it looks like 50,000 acre feet will get recharged there this fall. and that's encouraging. As soon as the water goes out of the canal, we're poised to start recharging in the Milner-Gooding Canal, Twin Falls Canal, the Wood River system up there. We'll have some of this. When would you've ever seen the Wood River the Little Wood Reservoir at 87% full on the 10th of August?
Yeah.
There's been lots of years on the 20th of July they've been out of water.
Right. Bert, here's a question, and it shows a little bit of my naivete on this subject, but what happens if we get another real hard snowpack this winter? What about available storage? Do we have enough available storage for the excess if we have another winter like last winter?
Zeb, they're having a meeting on the 10th with the Bureau of Reclamation to talk about releasing some of this water this fall, so that we can use it for recharge rather than to wait till February when they normally when they have a power curve or a fill curve that they use when the reservoirs get so full, depending on the snowpack. Then they determine how much they have to release to make room. Remember, most of these reservoirs have a Corps of Engineer component with them for flood control, and so we have to be careful that we don't flood out the cities and people along the river.
Right. Now, will there be, in your opinion, as a past legislator and knowledgeable man about all these different people and groups that are trying to get our water, do you think that with the influx of more water and available water, we're going to see more plays to take more for salmon, flush, and other idiotic movements?
Well, Zeb, that's one of those things that I've struggled with all this season here. All that water we sent down the river when it was, well, you watched the Shoshone Falls all spring.
Right.
And then the Bureau had to release and that's under contract. We can't do anything about it. To release the amount of water that they've said every year we'll release for salmon flush. And unfortunately, the salmon deal is kind of bleak. But it doesn't because they don't have water in the reservoirs. It's because the weather conditions in the oceans is the reason we don't have salmon.
Right, and they're natural predators at the mouth of the river going into the ocean. I mean, there's a lot of contributing factors. One thing I wanted to ask you about this morning, and of all the years that we've been friends, you have been a fair, honest, and just man in your decision and your opinion. When you look at the Republican Party, and in Washington, D.C. right now, controlling the House, controlling the Senate, and, of course, the Oval Office, where they promise to the American public, put us in, we're going to get the job done, Obamacare, budget reform, tax reform, everything else. What do you think about what they have not done yet?
Well, Zeb, I'm going to say something, and you and I have discussed this in the past, and it doesn't mean that I don't agree with most of what you say. What we're trying to do is swing this ship so far to the right so fast that we're not going to get it done. And like I said earlier, pardon me, when people are elected by people, their people they elected can vote how they wanted. We assume those people are happy with that. Not always, but they're still the ones that won the election. And so I think we've got to move this thing to the right. We have, and I think they got to quit fighting. Now, let me explain this, Deb. I don't want people to think that the state of Idaho is in the same position as the federal. Our legislators work pretty darn hard together. We disagree and scrap, but when you get back in Washington, and a lot of that is prompted by, pardon me, but your profession, the news media, they make hay out of everything they can do that's negative toward the Trump administration. And not all, but but quite a lot of the public news media does that. And I'm not happy with what's happening there. I don't know that if I'd have been Trump and advising Trump, he didn't call me. I feel bad about that. That if they'd have started with some of the smaller projects, when you look and see all of the things that they've accomplished, there's been some really things.
Yes.
They got rid of the waters of the U.S. Some of these things that we have been really worried about in the western part of the United States.
Bert, would you agree, though, that the fracturing and the dissension and the going in separate directions of the Republican Party, it's not helping what Mitch McConnell might say, or Ryan, or whatever? There doesn't seem to be the cohesive, we're going to win as a team idea. Am I wrong?
Well, Zeb, I totally agree with you on that we're so fractured that we're not taking advantage. If we keep messing around, we may lose the House, or we may even lose the Senate. And if you lose one of those houses, we're right back where we were. Now, bear in mind, I haven't talked to a soul, Zeb, that wished that Hillary Clinton had won instead of Trump. I have never talked to anybody that thought that would have been a better deal. Now, they may not be happy with what Trump's doing, but they sure don't want what they could have had.
Absolutely. You know, Mitch McConnell did say yesterday in a news conference that Donald Trump had, quote, excessive expectations. Do you agree that maybe McConnell's right, or do you think it was a good thing for Trump to lay down the gauntlet and say, this has to be done? What are your thoughts?
Zeb, to say that Trump had excessive, if he desired more or thought he was going to be able to get more, I think that's as phony a thing as that McConnell could have said. Why don't the Senate? The Senate right now is the one that's the bottleneck, and it doesn't matter what it is. They don't want to go along with what the changes that have to be made. Now, you know my son Dean. He keeps reminding his father that I'm on the tit, as he refers to, with the government, with my Social Security that I draw, and I just tell him that's fine. I'm going to continue to draw Social Security. But my kids disagree with me on some of these. When we cut the spending, and some of it, Zeb, we're going to have to, if we're ever going to get our budget back where it needs to be.
I agree with that 100%. And Bert, I have said on this program, and you've called in and kind of gone along with my statements, that we have to have a reevaluation of what we're doing and what we're paying out in this country, many of which the payments are going to deadbeats that don't have the self-responsibility to be active members of our society and responsible for their job and their money. We've got to see who's in the welfare mode, and we've got to start limiting some of the costs.
Well, Zeb, I sit here in the office and watch the boys make out the payroll, and we have some people on the H-2 program, and the amount of dollars that they pay into federal and state taxes is a couple of $1,000s every quarter, and those people will never be able to draw that.
Right. Let me ask you, right there you touched on something, and I've only got about 3 or 4 minutes left, but the H-2 programs that were at one time very beneficial for employers to get the employees they needed. Why did they take away the funding for those, and why couldn't that be the answer to our immigration and employment needs?
Zeb, it can be if they quit blocking the people that come in. We keep hearing the number of people that are unemployed, but remember, a good share of those people that we need for truck drivers during the harvest, or the apple pickers or orchards need for pickers. A lot of the people that people say, well, you could use these American people. Most of them have drug problems or other problems that they can't work. on your vehicles. If you don't have some kind of a drug process of checking these people, your insurance takes a huge bump up. And
absolutely. But there again, the two words, personal responsibility. This is what's dead in this country. People that are going to say, listen, I want to go to school. I want to get an education. I want to do this. I want to be a rocket scientist, or I want to become a plumber. And by the way, the plumbers probably make more money than the rocket scientist. We've lost the personal initiative. How do we get it back in this country?
Well, Zeb, coming home last night about 9 o'clock from the field, I play like I'm needed around here, and in Georgia there was an a program on that this professor has told his students that whatever they think their grade should be is what it will be. Now, how can we educate our public if we have that my grade's an A or my grade's what student's going to give himself a B? And he said if they disagreed with what he had given them, that he would change it to what they want. And we call this education?
Can you imagine sending your children at $65,000 a year, whatever the cost, per year to an education system that basically the students are running the university and the people that work there, the teachers, are basically subservient to the students? This is ludicrous.
It's hard for me to fathom that we live in that kind of a society today.
I agree. You know, Bert, I wished I had more time. I'm out of time, but I always value your taking the time to come on my program. Former Representative Bert Stevenson, God bless you and Elaine, and thank you for coming on the program.
May I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
The other day, Deanna was under the weather. How's she doing today?
She's doing great, but boy, she went down like a rock for about 2 days, and God bless her and the good Lord above. She's back, and she is her same, always smiling self.
Well, be kind to her and don't work her to death.
Okay, Bert, thanks. God bless you. Thanks.
We'll see you then.
All right. My dear friend,
Bye.
Bert Stevenson, former representative for the state of Idaho, and a good one. Thank you very much. Holy moly, Zeb, you've got to get a weather forecast on here. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, and that's in Jerome. 324-7657, the number to call. Oh, all the delicious meats in their retail meat department. The bacons and the bratwurst and the delicious, everything, prime rib, you name it, they've got it all over there at Scarrows Meats. It is great. Right now, here is, we'll just call her Miss Memorex with the weather.
All right. Weather for today, we are still in that air quality alert and advisory. Lots of smoke and haze in the area due to the area wildfire. So if you have upper respiratory issues, you might want to limit your outdoor time. We are also expecting some more rain showers and thunderstorms by this afternoon. Winds are going to be picking up gusts possible of 20-plus, high of 85. Tonight we're looking at a low of 56. For tomorrow, pretty much the same. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by tomorrow afternoon. Smoke's still going to be around as well. And you can expect it to be smoky conditions at least through Friday. For tomorrow, high of 86. Friday looks like a high of 88. Right now we're sitting at 66.
Oh, Gina, great job. Thank you very much. On the weather forecast brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And it is true. Don Scarrow and the crew changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. It's good. Tomorrow, Thursday, all kinds of interesting segments. Chamber of Commerce report and our visit with the Cassia County Fair. Rita Ramsey, we've got Starving to Death. We've got Cassia County School Days, our business salute, a guest at 10:30. Busy times tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. And right now, taking the time to tell you all about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Big sponsor, main sponsor of Zeb at the Ranch, and I really do appreciate them. All your tire needs for your pickups, cars, SUVs, trailers, everything. And don't forget, before you leave town, ask about a free pre-trip safety check. That's right, a visual inspection of your tires, including the air pressure, wheel alignment for possible tire wear, front-end components, brake components, shocks and struts, battery including a load test. Oh, they care. They really care with the best of service for your safe driving. And, of course, the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, it's all there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family over in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06, right here on KBAR 1230 AM and streaming live all over the world on zebbell.com. And our prayers again go out to our itty-bitty buddy, and that's Wheels. Hope you're feeling better. Come back soon, even though I have delighted in having Gina as the board op. She has done a wonderful job. So until tomorrow morning at 8:06, remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. Have a good day.